what makes Yoshimoto so difficult, right? So the first thing is laws of Imagawa. The unique clan policy for them gives them extra crops when they seize all settlements in a county. Okay, a keyword, all settlements seized in that county. Then they get more crops. This allows them to get more troops because they have more crops, right? So this makes them the de facto swarm, the super blob in Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. So if you're not good at spotting blobs or preventing blobs in strategy games, you're going to hate the Imagawa, right? He's able to field a ton of soldiers, the highest amount of any other. He has the highest potential capacity for soldiers. In this game, once you get Doom Stack somewhere around 10k, it doesn't matter if your officer core is subpar, like the Imagawa's is usually, outside of the Tokugawa retainers. It doesn't matter because the soldier count is so high that the damage when you exchange, your units still melt. Doesn't matter the quality that you bring. So the Imagawa, just like any effective, like any effective S tier swarm in any game, the Imagawa's swarm allows them to play a game of quantity, where quantity is more important than quality, which is kind of crazy because this game is more quality oriented, in my opinion. But the Imagawa can ignore that completely and just swarm you down with an endless horde because of the way that the damage scaling gets kind of crazy once you get over 10,000. I feel like once you get over 10,000, they just hit hard no matter what. Like the programmers were just like, well, it's over 10,000 soldiers. There's a threshold. I don't know the number, but there's definitely a threshold where the programmers were like, okay, they have to hit hard because if they don't hit hard at green stamina with these numbers, then it just looks ridiculous even to us. So we're going to code it in. So the Imagawa will hit hard no matter what. And you will just melt in front of those troop numbers, right? The second advantage that he has, this is the one that's backbreaking, the big one for me, is Yoshimoto has access to Bulwark Razor very early on. And it only gets worse. So his mom, Jukeni has Bulwark Razor, and she's already seen a retainer. What this means is that Bulwark Razor increases the HP of your castles by 25%, for those of you who don't know. Gives you more HP to your castles. Jukeni can immediately turn this on. She can immediately become the conservator for the Imagawa. Now, whether she does or not, it's RNG. But even if she doesn't, even if you get lucky, sometimes you won't do it. Eventually, there's another retainer, Motonobu. Motonobu is one of the few retainers that has Golden Bulwark. Golden Bulwark doubles the HP of all castles. Okay, so if your run goes on long enough, there's a theme here, okay, between laws of Imagawa requiring all settlements to be built and Motonobu's Bulwark Razor is Golden Bulwark, requiring him to reach a senior retainer. If the run goes on long enough, this guy will have the strongest swarm on the map, and he'll also have the highest HP castles on the map. He'll have both. So you see, that's like a fortress, a wall that you just can't chew through, either numbers-wise or castles-wise. A lot of these castles, like this one, will be at 1,100 HP. This one will be at 9,000. 8,000 over here, 9,000 at Nagashino, and whatever else he's managed to conquer at that point. So the Imagawa, again, this is why I said if you're I'm not sure what the strategy word is, but basically OCD, right? If you're OCD about the way that you play your faction in this game, like you have to have your ducks have to be in a row no matter what before you do something, right? All your buildings must be built, all your settlements must be seized, all the numbers have to be maximized, all the T's have to be crossed, all the I's have to be dotted. Before you make a move, you're gonna hate this guy. Because he's almost designed to be a pain in the ass to players who just want to relax, or side quest. Okay, that's what happened to me. I was side questing a lot in Minnow, And by the time I got to Yoshimoto, I think it was year 6 or year 7, and he had Golden Bulwark Razor with Motonobu. And so his castles were absolutely stacked. So what happens is you have to fight these huge hordes, and even if you manage to defeat them, you can't get through. Okay, that's the problem. That's what makes this guy a run ender. You can't chew through his, even if you chew through his numbers, you can't chew through his castles because the HP is too high, and you just finished fighting his numbers, so now you don't have anything left to get through to him. So how do you deal with this? You have to account for the Imagawa early and go after them early. Okay, that's my number one. Just go after him early. The Imagawa, if you can reduce their castles, you don't have to eliminate them. If you can reduce their castles by 2 to 3, then they no longer become a problem. Because the swarm needs space. It needs space to grow. He needs these fertile territories in Tokai to take advantage of it. If he doesn't have fertile ground, if you come through and you just salt the earth and push him back, then he can't take it. He can't grow anymore. So you have to literally make it so that he just can't grow. Once you put the genie back in the bottle against the Imagawa, that's it. They're done. And the easiest way to do that is early on in the campaign. Their officer corps is mediocre. It's not that strong. He can call on the Takeda when you get closer to his territory, but you don't have to get to his territory. Just the outlying. Just get Nagashino, Futamata, Hikuma if you can. Just contain him, and you'll find that he's way easier to deal with. Now, if you don't strike against him early, or you can't strike against him early, and you have to deal with him late, then always have a squad that is set up to destroy castles, and keep that squad in reserve. So whenever you fight a battle against him, you have a squad that's got castle raid and on the offensive, ready to sweep in and take castles. That's how I've beaten him. You have the decisive battle, you win it, and then you have your guy come in, your castle breakers, and that's what they do. They scoop up the castles while he's agitated. The best way to build a squad like that is always to stack castle raid and on the offensive. You could do something like tactics in case there's units for your third slot, but no matter what, castle raid to increase damage to the HP of the castle, and on the offensive in case you have to storm. Those two things in unison will give you, so that you have a squad that's designed to just bring down castles quickly. And if you can afford more squads that can stack that, but at least have one. Okay, so against the Imagawa, have a guy in reserve who can do that. Sweep in and take castles after you win. Or if you're close enough, make the Imagawa a priority. Make containing them a priority. Okay? His counter swing, even if you take these 3 castles early, his counter swing is just not going to be as strong. Like, that's it. Again, he's dependent on territory for laws of the Imagawa to work. He's dependent on it to get his swarm going. He needs to have more castles. So you just got to cut him off at the root before he can grow. Before he can take root, I should say. So, anyway, that's Yoshimoto. Number 3, let's get to the number 2. Okay, so the Mori have 2 things that are just horrendous to deal with, okay? The first thing, this is the most difficult thing to deal with. You know what? They're both pretty bad. The first one, the covert, okay? Motonari hits you with non-stop covert whenever you're fighting him. Raiding and raising. Is it called raiding? Insight. Why did I call it raiding? Insight and raising. Okay, raising zaps your supplies. Insight starts rebellions. This is a death vortex. Because you get raised and you have no supplies or low supplies, and you have to send out your army to put down these rebellions. And if you can't put down the rebellions, then your stuff gets broken. And that affects your income, and now you can't build anything. And now more revolts break out, and then it just never ends, okay? Once he puts you in this lock, this is like a triangle. If you get put in the triangle, it's over. You're tapping out, okay? What can you do to prevent this, okay? You have to use your tribes. Use your tribes. If you're in Shigoku, which if you're dealing with Motonari, you're probably in Shigoku. Use the tribes. Tribe units bring their own supplies. Okay? These are the best kind of people. These are the types of people, they bring their own beer to the party. You didn't even ask them to. They still brought more beer to the party. Okay? That's what tribes are. They're amazing. They bring their own supplies. So you deploy them and send them to put down the rebellions for you instead of using your army. Okay? Tribes cannot be messed with at all by the AI in this game. Only you can screw it up. Only you can fuck up your tribe units by destroying them in battle and lowering the trust and all that. You know, keep them alive, keep them whole, and use them when you're fighting the Mori just to put down to combat the spam of rebellion that he's going to hit you with, because it's insane. It really is insane. Don't use your armies. And speaking of your armies, your food, just move your food into your gold, okay? He's going to hit you with raise anyway. So sell your supplies. You're not going nowhere, okay? You ain't going nowhere against him. He's coming to you. Sell your stuff and put some buildings up to give you some more soldiers, or put it into your gold pool, and when you find your opportunity, when your opportunity comes to march against Motonari, then take your gold and spend it again for food. But sell your food, because you're not going to be holding on to it. It's not going to happen against Motonari. He's just going to constantly, and he's never going to stop. So that's how you get around this deadlock, this death spiral. Okay, you have to pivot. You can't really directly counter it. But what you can do is manage the damage that it does. So use your tribe units, put down your rebellions, manage them as best as you can, and sell your food. Use that food instead to put up buildings or something. Or again, just keep it in your gold reserve so that you can buy your food back when the time comes to march. The way to fight the Mori is to let him come to you, win that battle, and then counter march. But you're not gonna be marching against Motonari. It's not gonna happen. As soon as you declare a march, you're gonna get hit with your food supply lines are gonna get hit, your rebellions, and you're gonna have to turn around. It's a complete waste of time. You have to paralyze Motonari first. Paralyze his army, meaning win a decisive battle against him first, agitate his territory, so that he has to worry about his territory being agitated and you coming to him, and he's frozen. Do that first. You have to win the defensive battle. You're not going to be able to move against him. It's just, that's just how it is. And fighting Motonari is very frustrating because it feels very much like you're a flowchart player, and all you can do is stick to the flowchart, and there's just nothing else to do but to play the flowchart. It sucks, but that's how it is. You have to follow the script. You use your tribes, sell your food, put it towards whatever you want, and wait for that opportunity to fight that defensive battle. And now, speaking of battles, let's get to the second advantage that Motonari has. That is just crazy. And that's his specific trait and his son's trait. So Motonari's Ski Master confuses all units whenever one of his bases is taken during battle. And his son's is the reverse. Reduces stamina whenever he takes one of your bases. So the reason that these are crazy is because they screw up combat math, if you will, combat projection, if you will. It gets totally thrown out the window because it forces you to think outside of the box, almost unorthodox, But just think of it this way. Whatever bases Motonari takes, he keeps. Whatever bases you take, make sure that you can defend them if Takakage's in the field. Okay? Just remember, whatever bases you take, Takakage's in the field, you have to hold them. Motonari's in the field, he takes the base, he gets to keep it. Okay? Another thing, what I like to do is just leave a lane open. So whatever lane the Mori are going down, you leave that lane open. You let them have a side so that you can just manage less. Manage less against the Mori. Same thing if Takakage's in the field. I'm only going to grab lanes. Instead of grabbing everything, spreading out and grabbing everything, I'm just going to focus and grab a couple of spots on the map against him. And other spots I'm just going to let him have. Because I'm not going to take the chance of this triggering. So whenever you're fighting against Motonari or Takakage. One of those two is in the field, or both. God, both. It's just insane. I can't. I'll try to drop a link below to some streams of me fighting these three guys, but it's just crazy because if you slip up, the punishment, reducing the stamina is backbreaking. Everyone being confused is backbreaking. I will say that I feel, for some reason, to me it feels like reducing stamina is way worse because the confusion is, I don't know, it just stops. And I feel like reducing the stamina, that permanent stamina reduction just lingers for the rest of the battle. It's just, to me, it's harder to recover. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels way worse to try to recover from mass stamina reduction than mass confusion. I don't know why, because confusion is stronger overall. But in this case, I feel like Takakage's is worse, okay? Anyway, whenever you're fighting these guys, just let them have their lanes. Whether that means that he conquers a lane that you don't contest, or you take lanes only that you can contest. But just ignore a certain part of the battlefield and just leave one unit back there to watch the road that leads to that camp. But everything else, just give ground to. The more you try to do against these two guys, the more you have to juggle. And it's just too risky because of the other advantages that they have. They have the tribal swarm. They have Way of the Mori also increases the loyalty of their officers. Chances are, if you're trying to take over and hold bases across the whole map, their units are going to hold on longer than yours. So a key break that's favorable to them, it could collapse your whole army. Completely collapse your whole army. So I hope I'm making sense because it's hard to describe these two guys' effects, but just leave a lane accounted for them and just do more with less when you're fighting the Mori on the battlefield, okay? When it gets to the battlefield. And that's why I said it's so frustrating to fight these guys because it really does feel like a flow chart. And exactly, like it has to play out exactly the way I described it. Every time I fought them, it's played out like this. Non-stop rebellions, I use my tribes to put down the rebellions. Sell the food, build maybe an arrow tower, build some more troops, wait for the attack, fight the battle, give them the lanes, win the battle, concentrate my forces, win the battle, sneak up and take a castle, maybe grab one castle, maybe grab two castles, and then do it all over again. I grab one or two castles, those two castles get incited, blah, 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 wait for my opportunity, counterattack until I get strong enough to where he's on the back end, but that usually takes a very long time. So, again, that's Motonari number 2. This guy will end your run because of the death spiral of covert. He'll just put you in a covert death spiral. And it's so backbreaking, guys. I can't describe. If you've fought against this guy, you know exactly what I'm saying, but it's so backbreaking. So that's Motonari number 2. Let's get to the number 1 guy. All right, guys. So here we are. The number 1. Number 1's got to be Shingen. Okay. Oh my God. Shingen basically, he just, everything that the other guys do, he does it better. Okay, that's, I guess that's why he's number 1. The only thing I would say is Yoshimoto's Swarm is still king in this game, but Shingen's Swarm can get pretty close. So compared to Yoshimoto, Shingen has a Swarm that is close. It's close. It's not quite there, but it's not rare for his castle to be at 20k, just like Sunpu Palace, and for him to have a couple of other castles that are close to Yoshimoto's numbers. Not all of them, but close to Yoshimoto's numbers, right? He also has the same defense. His territory is deep. His home base, Sunpu. I'm thinking of, anyway. His home base is deep in his territory, just like Yoshimoto, so it's hard to get him out. It's hard to root him out. His domain is bigger than Yoshimoto's. So trying to strike against him, taking a couple castles to cripple him doesn't work because he has way too many castles, whereas that would work against Yoshimoto. You can contain him and neutralize him. Doesn't work against Shingen. His base is deeper. His core is better than Yoshimoto's, way, way better. Then compare it. Now let's compare it to Motonari, number 2 spot. Covert. Shingen's covert is on par with Motonari's, if not better. He will hit you with rays. He will hit you with rebellions non-stop, and you will be pulling your hair out because Shingen seems to take advantage of the rebellions a lot better. He quickly moves in and flips your provinces on his way to attacking your castles in this game. Better than Motonari, I would say. So his covert game is just as good as Motonari's, if not better. Okay? Now, I talked about Motonari's ability and how it screws up the battlefield, right? Scheme Master and Takakage, his son's ability to screw up the battle math as well. The Takeda Cavalry. This is what makes him number 1. Shingen's Takeda is the only force that has this X factor that you have to deal with always. Always. Motonari has Scheme Master. His son has, I forgot what it's called, the other ability, that lower stamina. Shingen, each Takeda unit basically has a mini Scheme Master. They basically have a mini nuke in their pocket. Every unit does. That's how you have to treat them. And you never know when that nuke is going to go off and you're going to get hit with a cavalry charge. And that cavalry charge is going to peel off an extra 1,000 to 1,500 soldiers. Okay? It's not confused. It doesn't reduce stamina like Motonari does. But the essence of what the Takeda Cavalry does is still the same. It screws up battle math. That's what it does. It still does. Essentially, it's the same thing that Motonari does. It screws up the projection of how a battle is going to play out. And because the cavalry chargers are RNG, it can be devastating. Sometimes you can get hit with one unit can charge you twice in a row. And that 3,000 soldiers that you thought you were going to have, you don't have anymore. They're gone. Okay? You have to treat every unit as if they have a mini Motonari ability. And the longer the battle goes on, the longer the chances that you're going to take more charges. I've lost battles where I have 10,000, 15,000 more soldiers in the Takeda just because of the cavalry. Because the cavalry just wears me down. And that's what puts him at number 1. It's dealing with the cavalry. He's on par with Yoshimoto and Motonari on their own terms, and he beats them at their own games. And then he also brings his own specialty, which is the Takeda Cavalry. Nobody else brings anything close to this in this game. Nobody has that X factor, you know? The closest would be Nobunaga with his muskets. But if you pay attention to Nobunaga's muskets, he only gets them online for like a couple of years. Nobunaga's heyday with musket superiority only lasts for like 3 or 4 years. You rarely see it because it's dependent on Mitsuhide's musket supplier trait. So it rarely comes online. So with Nobunaga, you might deal with it rarely. With Shingen's Takeda, you can, as long as Shingen's in charge, which is like what, 20 years in game, you're going to deal with it. It's constant. Constantly. You'll always have to deal with it. There's no other way around it. So now how to fight the Takeda, how do you deal with it? I only have one tip, and that is to try to divide and conquer. Because this realm is so awkward, so large, usually when the Takeda attack you, their army is going to be, you can usually catch them in pieces. So whenever you fight the Takeda, divide and conquer. Just try to fight 4, at minimum 4, so you get agitation. 4 units at a time at the minimum, but just divide it in half. Never fight them full scale. Okay, don't do what I do. I try to get away with it, and it rarely works. Divide and conquer. Get Kenshin to help you, because usually he's the only person available if you're not playing as him. Get Bishamonten to help you and divide up Shingen's realm. Don't take the field against them if they have more than like 6 or 7 units. And your numbers are kind of close, because I'm telling you that cavalry will blow you up. Not to mention Shingen's 4 commanders, 5 commanders. He has so many guys that screw up things even worse, that have their own little things. For example, for Mazuyuki's Cunning Fox, too. That will... But Masakage's Red Cavalry zaps your stamina in half the first unit. That will screw up your battle plans. Nobuharu's Mino Ogre shuts down damage and confusion. That will screw up your battle plans. Rearguard Master confuses enemy units when commencing retreat. I mean, he's got all these little wrinkles. These guys are not only great commanders, but they have these little wrinkles that throw off the pacing of the battle. And that's what makes him so hard to deal with. It's because of the cavalry charges. They're so difficult. And like I said, he's not like, he has so many layers of protection. He's not like Yoshimoto. His realm is huge. It's already huge. You can't cripple him economically and just say, okay, that's that. You can't beat him at covert. That's not going to work. That's not going to cut it. Beating him in the field is difficult. Getting a huge decisive battle I don't recommend it. Take small victories. And get Kenshin to help you. Yes. I'm just remembering that now. But yeah, get Kenshin to help you. Get points with Kenshin and have him help you divide and conquer. So yeah, that's it. That's number one, guys. That's the number one. Those are the top three. Top three guys that could end your run. Shingen at number one. Like I said earlier, I feel like this list could be longer, but those are the three to me that I'm always wary of. When it comes to Yoshimoto, I say, okay, did he get Bulwark Razor online? How long have I been wasting time before I have to deal with Yoshimoto? That's how I think. And then if I'm next to Motonari, it's like, okay, keep the tribes online. Keep the tribes online and bob and weave for my opportunity. And again, Shingen, get Bishamon 10, divide his units, and pray. Bishamon 10 and pray. So, hope you guys enjoyed this list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what you guys feel like. What do you guys think? Are these the three? Are there others? Should Nobunaga have been on the list? Should the Hojo have? No, not the Hojo. Never the Hojo. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, take care.